What's good, everybody? It's your boy Jay in the building. We back again with another video. Now, we're gonna get to all the predictions and the slight reviews later on today. But this morning, man, I want to get to the MEAC and I feel like the road to the MEAC championship starts this weekend. You know, with Howard, Delaware State, and with Central and South Carolina State. All four of those teams have 0 losses on their conference record. So everybody is starting off with a clean slate. Like, they are now about to get to conference play. You know, but Delaware State already beat Norfolk State, and Central already beat Morgan. So those two teams is already 1-0. You know, so the first game I want to get to is South Carolina State versus North Carolina Central. Now, I think Central probably has the hardest 2 games when it comes to the conference because they're playing on the road 2 weeks in a row against probably their 2 toughest competition in the conference, which is South Carolina State and Delaware State. Now, the quarterback matchup, let's start off with that. I feel like it's no contest. It's a no-brainer. Davis Richard has been not only the best quarterback in the conference, he's been the best offensive player in the MEAC, like, by far. You know, he's thrown for over 1,200 yards so far with 13 passing touchdowns and only had 5 interceptions. And he has another over 300 yards rushing with 8 touchdowns on the ground. So he has a total of 21 touchdowns total. And he definitely been one of the best quarterbacks. Or he's been the best quarterback in the MEAC. And then on the other side we have Corey Fields, who he has not been great. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. He has not been great so far this year. You know, I think they played 6 games so far. He's thrown for over 700 yards with 8 touchdowns and 8 interceptions. And his completion percentage is, 44%. Completion percentage is absolutely horrible. But, you know, but last year, though, let me get to this. South Carolina State was in the same position last year. I think they started off 1-4, and then they ran through the conference. They won 5 out of their last 6 games, and they ended up going to the Celebration Bowl and ultimately winning it. But this year is different because the offense has not been, it has not been that. You know, even with last year, they stood toe-to-toe against Alabama A&M. They scored 45 against Alabama A&M. They scored 35 against New Mexico State. Like, they were scoring points last year. And then this year, man, Corey Fields had, he's thrown the ball less than 50% in every game he's played so far this year. And it sucks because, for as bad as Corey Fields has been, Shaq Davis has been the best receiver in the MEAC so far. He has the most receiving yards so far this year, and it's been shocking because I just feel like nobody else at their receiving core has been giving him any help. But Shaq Davis, he only has 17 receptions this year, and that's not he's an NFL prospect. He is the best receiver in the MEAC, and I feel like, I think honestly, if he had a better quarterback throwing him the ball, I think he'll have a lot more receptions, and he'll have over 600 yards receiving so far. But so I just hope that Corey Fields can play better. But luckily for South Carolina State, they have not played a conference game yet, so they pretty much started off their season this weekend. But their defense is the total opposite of South Carolina State's offense. It's the total flip side. And I want to start it off with B.J. Davis. You can say that he's been the top 2, top 3 best defensive players in the MEAC. He's top 5 in tackles, and he's tied for first in interceptions. And I think against Bethune-Cookman, he had 2 interceptions. He returned one of them for like a 90-something yard touchdown, and he also had 2 interceptions against FAMU, in which you can say he was the spearhead for their comeback. Because look, South Carolina State looked absolutely awful against FAMU, and then in the fourth quarter, things turned around when B.J. Davis made 2 interceptions back to back in the fourth quarter, and they gave South Carolina State the short field, pretty much them scoring their 2 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. But, in order for South Carolina State to have a chance, South Carolina State is going to have to play some real good defense, because this Central team is not last year's. Like, this North Carolina Central team is very good outside of their loss, their blowout loss that they had versus Campbell. They played very well. And even with that loss, Davius Richard has been playing very well. Central is a very good running team. They're the number 1 rushing team in the MEAC. They have their running back is second in the conference in rushing with 4 touchdowns. And of course, Davius Richard is top 5 in rushing, in the conference. And he can also pass the ball. So in order for South Carolina State to have a chance, they're going to have to start Davius. And he has been a baller so far this year, man. He honestly been one of the top 5 best quarterbacks in HBCU football, period. You can say he's top 5. You can make a case for top 3. But we'll say top 5 be on the safe side. So, but the thing that South Carolina State has going for them is that they are playing at home. So hopefully it could be a sold out crowd, and the crowd can play a difference in the game. But this is a different Central team than last year. South Carolina State beat them by 3 points, and they beat them at Central. So who knows what's going to happen this year or this weekend, because this is going to be a totally different game. So if B.J. Davis and that defense can come with it, hopefully we can have a good game, man. But this Central team is different. All right, in next game, man, we have Delaware State versus Howard. Now, this is Howard's homecoming. This is their first conference game, and the game is sold out. I absolutely wanted to go to this game. I wanted to, very bad. Things came up, or whatever, but yeah, so, and it's crazy because Delaware State is last in total offense, but they're first in total defense. And with Howard, they're second in total offense, but they're 5th in total defense. So you can say it's strength on strength. With Howard is a very explosive offense, starting with the quarterback with Quentin Williams. You have two guys in the backfield, and Hunter and Wheeler, who can definitely run the ball. You have a receiving core that can go get it. Starting off with Antoine Murray, who's second in receptions, in yards, and in receiving touchdowns. So this offense can definitely get you some points. The downside of this team is that they give up a lot of yardage and points, and I just don't know what I'm gonna get from them. Like, I feel like their best game came in a loss, which is against South Florida. Like, they were only down, like, they were favored to lose by like 25 to 30 points against South Florida. And heading into the fourth quarter of that game, they were only down 7. So Howard was playing absolutely great football. Now, The score at the end of the game don't really indicate that, but Howard played a really good game, like very good. And then the next week, they play against Morehouse, and it's halftime, and it's just like, I feel like that was their worst game. And even in a shutout win, like, they don't score. Like, Howard doesn't score until late in the third quarter. So you're going into the fourth quarter only up 7-0 against Morehouse. And they ended up winning 31-0. But Howard is a much better offense than what they showed in that game. But they're going up against a feisty defense. Now, and the thing about this team, period, is that they don't turn the ball over. And, like, they do a real good job with taking care of the football. They only thrown one interception in their first 6 games so far this year. They only thrown one interception. And I think they have 3 fumbles, but that's what Delaware State is really good at, is taking care of the football, which is why they have, the wins that they do have, So they already beat Norfolk State, had Norfolk State's homecoming, so they're already up 1, so. And with this defense, they have 17 sacks so far. Leading the way with that is Isaiah Williams. He's number 1 in tackles for loss, and he's top 3 in sacks. So he's definitely making the case for MEAC Defensive Player of the Year. So I think, and Delaware State has definitely one of the best secondaries, in the FCS, starting off with, Charles Peeler at safety, So this defense is pretty feisty, I would say. They're not much of a passing team, but they can definitely run the ball. I think they average 140 and 45 yards rushing as a team, but they only average 135 passing, in the air. So, which is why, like, their offense is not very explosive at all, But the thing that that's good about Delaware State is that they play very good defense. This game is definitely gonna be strength on strength. How many points can Howard score on Delaware State's defense, and can Delaware State score enough points to keep up with Howard? Or to even pass Howard, for that matter. But looking forward to this game. Matter of fact, I'm looking forward to both MEAC games. I do think that Central and South Carolina State game is going to be very, very important to look at. So I'm going to be paying attention to those 2 games for sure. Outside of Jackson State and Campbell, of course, but this is going to be a good weekend of HBCU football.